You're listening to the only podcast for Texas AirHogs and American Association Baseball. This is Hog Heaven with your host, Tim Costello, and co-host, Zachary Lee. Welcome into Hog Heaven here on your AirHogs Broadcast Network. Take it away, Tim.
Hi, and welcome back into Hog Heaven. I am Tim Costello. Saturday night, the American Association season ended with St. Paul sweeping the Sioux City Explorers to claim, this is crazy to say, their first ever American Association championship. The St. Paul Saints last won a title back in the Northern League 2004. So the St. Paul Saints win their first ever American Association championship. But again, welcome back into Hog Heaven. Again, I am Tim Costello. I had a great opportunity to sit and talk with Coach Bando, a little bit of a season wrap-up. It was a fun season for all the AirHogs fans out there. So this was Coach Bando getting a chance to sit back, think back through the whole year, and do a little bit of a recap for us here on Hog Heaven. So we will go to our interview with the one, the only, Chris Bando.
Hog Heaven, Tim Costello, joined with the AirHogs manager, Coach Bando. Coach, welcome in. How are you enjoying your first couple of days off in a long time?
Well, kind of going through withdrawals, not going to the ballpark. When you go there every day for 4 months and then all of a sudden you're in your rocking chair, you kind of go into withdrawals thinking, I need to go to the ballpark at about 1 o'clock. So, yeah, it's been funny. It's been fun, but it's been different.
So let's take a quick look back at that last series before we look at the whole season. We had probably one of the most ridiculous days of travel in the American Association, and it all ends with Zong Tao taking a no-hitter into the 8th inning. Walk us through that whole day, because that had to be ridiculous for you.
Oh, yeah, it was, it was just incredible. You know, like you said, the performance of John Tao, particularly with the travel that we experienced that day, and, it was from being at the airport at 5:30 in the morning to missing the flight, to flight being canceled, to then flying back. I think we were up 17 hours of the day, and we go to the ballpark, and he got a no-hitter going through 7 innings.
What was it like? What was it like to see their manager kind of lose his cool a little bit, knowing it was mostly because their guys couldn't touch Zong Tao?
Yeah, I mean, they were frustrated and complaining about every strike call he'd get, but he filled up the strike zone with all of his pitches, and, part of it, I'm sure he was trying to get Tao off his rhythm, and came out there and argued in defense of one of his players who had gotten tossed. But John Tao was just remarkable that day, throwing strikes and filling up the strike zone with all his pitches.
We look at the next day, and Zach Lamont had his best start of the entire season. He was in rare air, and he had a chance to have a record that wouldn't have been one he wanted to have as most losses in the American Association in one season. And instead, he gave us another one-hit performance.
Yeah, he too had a no-hitter going into the 8th inning, and it was incredible. We told him, no, the next day you've got to go have no-hitter going through the 9th if you're going to keep up the improvement of our staff. But, yeah, Jack pitched like he's capable of pitching. He's got that type of stuff. Unfortunately, his season, had a lot of ups and downs, and, he's a victim a lot of times of no support. But I was just happy to see him end on a positive note, have a positive outing, and know that, he still got the stuff to be a good pitcher.
So, Coach, I was looking at the numbers today for the ball club for both halves, the first 50 games, especially offensively. It's unbelievable the turnaround this team had about mid-July. I knew you had to notice it. What was it for you to be able to sit there and watch this team basically transform into a completely different ball club, it seems like, overnight?
Well, I mean, that's what you coach for. It's exciting. I've always told the guys it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and learning from your mistakes and failures and making adjustments. And it's obvious that they made the adjustments that we talked about on a daily basis, and they brought it into the game, and they were tough outs the second 50 games of the season, and it was good to see the results that happened because of it, and all the key hits that they got in key moments to deliver some wins for us.
Would it surprise you to hear in the second half of the season, Li Ning was a 330 hitter on base at over a 400 clip?
No, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I was looking at his numbers the other day, and with runners in scoring position. He was close to a 400 batting average. I wouldn't be surprised if Lee Ning led the entire American Association in batting average with runners in scoring position.
He was unbelievable this season. I had several broadcasters tell me, man, I wish my club could trade for this guy down the stretch in a playoff hunt. And I think that's the ultimate compliment, really, when other clubs want you.
It is. I've had many managers say he's one of the toughest out in the league. He gets two strikes and he battles and he battles and he fights and he doesn't throw away any at bats and he makes you throw strikes and he just grinds out his bats and he's a great guy to wear down the opposing pitcher, especially leading off the game or hitting a two slot. He can do a lot of things with the bat, has great bat control, and he's such a versatile player and he really is worthy of being an all-star player.
When you look at another guy who's worthy of a lot of things, and he was a big reason why Lee Ning had the turnaround this season he did, we're talking about Josh Prince here. He was someone who was such a valuable presence in the AirHogs locker room early on in the season, but unfortunately he just wasn't here to see the fruit of all his labor that he put in. What was Josh Prince like early on in the season, and how much has he really changed the outlook of Chinese offensive baseball, in your opinion?
Oh yeah, he was such a critical component. I think when he was so critical when he left, I think we went on kind of a 10-game tailspin. It was like the guts were pulled out of our team because he was a team leader, on the field and off, and he poured into these guys every day, and their approach to play, particularly Lee Ning, it was like Lee Ning's was his little disciple. And I told Lee Ning when Josh left that you're the new player coach, so you need to pick up the reins and take over what Josh has invested in your life. And he certainly did. And Josh was in regular contact with me and keeping in touch with the guys and what they're doing. And he's awfully proud of the performance of Lee Ning.
What was it like to see him have a chance to play AAA baseball again and not only play there, but succeed? He had a above 300 average for quite some time before he had a bit of an injury.
Yeah, it's exciting because of the type of person he is, his character, and not only his passion for the game, but his passion to be a leader and help other players alongside of him. Not only is he very versatile and a great teammate and team leader, but he's going to be a tremendous hitting coach in any organization that hires him. So it's good to see the good guys get that opportunity who labor often behind the scenes and without notoriety and do everything, as hard as they can to help others. He certainly was a great example, and we missed him the second half.
Talk about another former AirHog who was able to get picked up again in Tyler Masick. He is such a cool story when you look at the history of baseball. There's been several guys who have had that issue Masick had when he got to the big leagues as far as losing control, but most of them, if they make it back, they make a switch to offense like a Rick Ankiel did. But Tyler has the intestinal fortitude and the mental wherewithal to take his lumps, to fix what he needed to fix, and now he's in AAA getting a chance to get back into the big leagues in time for a playoff push.
Yeah, it's great to see the strides that Tyler made and how dependable he was in throwing strikes, and with his velocity and his ability to control his secondary pitches. He just needs some more innings in AAA, and there's no doubt he's a big league caliber talent, and we'll get back to the big leagues as that opportunity presents itself.
When you look at your pitching coach, Kevin Joseph, this was his first time having the full reins of a club where he was the guy. And in his first year, he gets to work with guys like Masick and Eibner and getting both of them into better situations. What's it like for you to be able to take a young coach under your wing and see him have that success early in his coaching career?
Well, it was fun and exciting to see, and it's always exciting to see a new coach get excited about teaching and seeing his pitchers get better, and just his investment in their life and how time consuming and how much he poured into these guys. And I was so happy to see the progress of our pitching staff. It's a direct result of Kevin being patient with them, instructing them, and us putting them in the best situations to succeed.
It seemed like, too, the pitching staff got a big jolt when certain guys came and joined the locker room throughout the season. One of them, to me, it seemed like Eric Manoah really had an influence on, especially the starting pitchers. To me, Gon Chewin kind of followed Eric Manoah's lead as far as his days he's not playing preparation. When you look at your conditioning, how he treats his body, what is bringing the right American players into the fold during the season mean when you're mixing this clubhouse the way we are?
I think you hit the nail on the head with Eric Manoah. His competitive spirit and his will to compete and his passion to compete and not want to come out of a ball game definitely rubbed off and influenced the rest of our pitchers. To see how aggressive he was in attacking hitters, to see how competitive he was and fearless in whatever situation presented himself. And so he definitely influenced the makeup of our starting rotation and brought a toughness that rubbed off on some of the other pitchers, just to see about how he went about his business.
His competitive nature really kind of pushed him through an offensive part of the season as well, a guy who hasn't taken a bat since high school, and all of a sudden he's a steady component in the AirHogs lineup down the stretch. And I really thought he just competed his way through most of those at-bats.
Oh, he did. He took BP, and I think it was Sioux City, and I saw a swing, and I said, "You've got a pretty good short, powerful swing." And knowing how competitive he was, I said, "I'm going to get you some at-bats." And you're exactly right. He was fearless, and the bigger the situation, the more competitive and drive he had to succeed. And you're exactly right. He competed himself through a lot of games and got a lot of key hits for us down the stretch.
When you look at the season, I feel like towards the end, the pitchers hitting floodgate kind of opened for you when you had Manoah get some at bats, and then we had a couple pitchers games, and there was some pressure for some of those guys to get their only hit on the season. What was it like for you to kind of be able to watch these guys who don't normally hit enjoy just playing the game again like it was Little League, trying to get a base knock and competing out there?
Oh, it was so much fun. I remember Trevor Sims coming in after playing right field, putting him in right field, and just a big old grin on his face. He said, he used to be an outfielder in college. He goes, "That's the first time I've ever been to the plate where I actually felt absolutely no anxiety or stress to get a base hit, but pure joy in wanting to compete and just have fun again." So it was really fun to see them have fun and just the pure joy, like you said, of just playing baseball and playing a position, and they're athletes, and that's part of the game, and it even helps in their mental development to get out there and see how hard it is to be a regular player.
When I was on the road, I had a couple really cool conversations with Eric Manoah, and he mentioned his time at the plate. He felt like it made him a better pitcher because he was starting to think backwards with, when I see this pitch and this count, it makes me feel uncomfortable. I should do that to other people. Do you think maybe some of the guys that got those at-bats had similar thought process when they went back out to the mound?
Oh, absolutely. Jack and James Dow, I got the last game, and, especially Jack, he said, "I can't believe how hard it is to hit that ball down and away or see that pitch." And it does make them realize how difficult it is to hit and not giving the hitter too much credit. So I think it was beneficial for them, and we'll continue to do that hopefully next year.
One of the things that hasn't been mentioned yet that might be one of the coolest things done in the league all season, last game of the season, you gave Li Ning a chance to play all 9 positions in one game. Where did that come from? How did the idea come about? And tell us a little bit about the execution.
Well, he's a great athlete. He can catch, and, he had some knee issues and wanted to catch him more games during the season. But, he's such a versatile player and a great athlete. I just said, I'm going to play you. You can play all 9 positions today, and it's something that take pride in to show your athleticism and your ability not only to play them, but to play them well. So it was a lot of fun, and just shows what a great athlete Li Ning is and how versatile he is and how he can put him in any position in the field and him succeed. It was extremely rewarding, particularly when he came in the mound to record the last out, throwing him 1 breaking ball and 2 split fingers to get a fly out to left field. So he was fired up, and it was just a good overall day for him and for the team to see him execute that. And my biggest dilemma was just kind of planning what inning he was going to play where and how to shuffle guys around. But once I laid that out, I just followed my plan.
One of the things I think helped Leaning a lot personally, he was pretty much a catcher all year last year when he hit 230. Getting him out from behind the plate this year, I think really allowed him to be fresh and ready to go every day as he was an above 280 hitter. Do you think that's something that maybe going forward you don't consider him as a catcher as much because of what he can do on offense?
I think it'd be ideal if he could catch 1 or 2 games a week, but predominantly play the field. Being able to catch and his ability to catch and his ability to throw the baseball is definitely, he's got a high ceiling behind the plate, but also his versatility is an asset to be able to, utilize his offensive prowess so he doesn't get run down behind the plate. So I think a little bit of behind the plate, but predominantly in the field, moving him around is the best way to utilize his talent.
You guys got an opportunity to go to a major league game when you were in Milwaukee. Got to take a look at one of the best teams in baseball. What's it like for you guys to still be able to be a fan of the game? You just played a grueling season, but now you have this opportunity just to sit back and watch a game that you're not invested in, and you can just appreciate a beautiful game.
Oh, those guys had so much fun just being at the ballpark and experiencing Miller Park, and to see Christian Yelich come up in the 9th inning and hit a home run to tie the game off the closer for the Astros. And their photos and their cameras are out everywhere taking pictures of everything. And, they're fans of the game, and so are we. I think you're in baseball. You're a fan of the game. And, it was just a thrill to see them have so much fun watching a major league game.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe you have one of those special major league cards that lets you into any baseball park at any time for any game. How often do you go and just sit back and watch a baseball game in your life nowadays?
Well, I'd love to, but my children always take the card and use it. So, yeah, I wish I had the card, but my sons take it, and they, you can get 2 tickets anywhere, any stadium in the major league. So they utilize it more than I do, but I love watching a game. I watch it every night on TV. I catch a game, and I think when you're in the game of baseball, you don't get tired of watching it. And I enjoy watching it from my easy chair, where the kids they can go to the ballpark and experience that.
When you look at the off-season program, I know a lot of guys came to you personally saying, "Coach, what can I get better at?" What kind of things are you telling some of these players, knowing that you really want them back next year and know they can compete at a high level?
Well, number one, I emphasize the physical conditioning. I think you always evaluate and ask yourself, is the player getting the most out of his body potentially, or is his lack of being in shape preventing him from reaching his ceiling? So the guys, I emphasized a great deal and gave them individual conditioning programs to make sure that if they came back next year, that number one, they needed to be in better physical shape to maximize the ability that they have, because it's a grind playing every day, playing 100 games. So physically it's a grind, but they needed to make that adjustment and prepare. And then offensively, I gave them some things that they need to improve on to become better players and their overall approach. And you never stop talking and teaching the game, and gave them things to work on. A couple of the guys are going to come down here to Austin to work with me during the off season, so we look forward to that. And Justin Bird said he's going to come down. There's some things I'd like to tweak with him and have some more time with him. But there's a lot of talent, and the off season starts the day after the season, and you start preparing for the next year.
Justin Bird seemed to me like he was just the perfect fit in that locker room with the amount of games we had left. I'm really hopefully looking forward to seeing him next year. What did you get from your time with Justin, and what do you think from him possibly coming back in 2020?
Yeah, I definitely want him back in 2020. He has a lot of passion for the game, a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and he too is a fierce competitor. I think you get a fierce competitor at the top of the lineup that can draw some walks and drive the baseball, and with the speed that he needs to utilize more, and we need to implement, teach him how to bunt a little bit better, utilize his bunting game, and drive the ball the other way. He definitely, has a lot of talent that could impact our lineup, and and really be a force at the front of the lineup for us. So he's a good defender. He's got a tremendous arm, as we've used him on the mound, as you see a couple times during the season where he threw 90 miles an hour. So he's a great athlete that is in the prime of his career, and I think he's going to be one of the league leaders next year in many offensive categories.
I couldn't agree more with you on that one, Coach. I think Bird was a phenomenal addition from Billy. When you look at Matt Dean, I think he really started to come on late in the season. It seemed to me he came to you at some point and asked for some help because you guys were in the cage a lot together working on things. What kind of things did you try and add to his approach on the end of the season, and what are we looking forward to seeing Matt Dean try and do coming into next year?
Yeah, we tried to get him consistently keeping the barrel of the bat inside the baseball and not pull off the baseball and pull off the breaking ball. So we focused on his rhythm and timing to keep his front shoulder on the ball and make a commitment to think driving the ball the other way. Because when he stays on the baseball, that he's got quick hands and he's got a powerful body, that he's going to be a consistent hitter if he commits to this approach. And when he tries to be too quick or tries to pull the ball, that's when he gets himself out. So it was an ongoing process and a commitment to just tweak little things in his setup and his rhythm to keep him on the ball and keep him inside the ball and through the ball. So he's looking forward to having a full season with that approach. And again, he's one of the guys that gave the conditioning program to, that we're going to see a much better version physically of Matt Dean and utilize his athleticism that he has.
I think one guy who you really got on a program where we started to see the best version of him, come late July, August, was Stephen Javier. I know you worked with him in college as well. So what was it like for you to see him put that work in and have some of the fruits of his labor pay off late in the season?
Yeah, he began to get himself in better shape, and, he showed behind the plate and at the plate. And I think him, too, coming into camp in better condition, number one, and seeing the level of competition. And, often you need a season or two to make those adjustments and see how difficult the league is. And he's a kid that will continue to work hard and get better, and he needs to maximize his body and the ability he has. But it's awful rewarding to see not only his progress, but just the other players, how much they enjoyed and thoroughly celebrated his game-winning hits, and just wanting to see him do well, because he's a great team player, and he's a great guy behind the plate to get the most out of your pitchers.
How much are you looking forward to the Chinese qualifying that they have coming up here? I know it's going to be in October. Are you planning to either wake up early or stay up late to watch some international baseball?
I'd love to. Yeah, I think they've learned how to compete, and they've learned how to compete against some tough competition. So, I'm very hopeful that they have a good showing, and when they get some rest and continue to work hard on any given day, any pitcher can beat any team, as Shane Tao showed down the stretch. So, you just never know what can happen in those international competitions and who's going to get some key hits. But they're in some good competition this year, and many of them succeeded, and look forward to see them compete in those international games.
I may be crazy for thinking this, but Coach, I really do think they have a good shot to do well in that tournament when two of your three starters are ZT and Don Chuen. We had Na Shuang take to the bat at the end of the year, and boy, did he look great. Chen Jun Peng finished the year hitting 290 in the second half. Li Ning will be living on base in that tournament. I have to think there's going to be some exciting baseball to be played for Team China.
Oh, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Chen Jun Peng, you're exactly right. He had as clutch of at-bats as anybody on the team, and he's another guy that, like Li Ning, he didn't throw away any at-bats. He learned to be disciplined at the plate. He learned to utilize his strengths, and even though he's quiet on the outside, he's a competitive tiger on the inside, and he gets to that plate and he loves to compete, and he's got a calm demeanor at the plate, just like Yang Jin has in the field. And so you're right. You're exactly right. You've got some key components in there in the middle of the lineup and top of the lineup that can compete and put China in a position to succeed.
Get you out of here on this one. Na Shuang was your base coach all year. We got to the point where we didn't have a choice but to play him. then when he did play, he was phenomenal. But I think the thing that was even better was the giant smile that was across his face every time he was at the plate. What was it like for you to see him get to half of a bat, succeed, and really just have fun out there?
It was so exciting to see the joy that he has in playing the game of baseball, and he was itching to get in there all year, and we finally had no choice but to activate him because of the trades and injuries, and just his pure joy in playing the game, not having any at bats, but throwing him in there and hitting 330 or 50, whatever he ended up hitting was, and to see his smile, like you said, on his face, just playing the game of baseball was worth the price of admission.
I have to agree with you. When he was up, you didn't even need the lights in there. He lit up the whole city with that smile.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you. We hope you enjoy your off season, and we look forward to an even better 2020.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks for all your support and marketing the team and doing a great job in the booth. We appreciate your efforts as well, and do look forward to 2020.
Thanks, Coach. Have a great night.
You too, Tim.
Bye.
Bye.